There we go. All right.
Good morning.
Good morning. I think we're back. Are we back? Can you hear me now? Okay.
Well, I think where we ended up last time that we met was we gave a proposal to you guys, and you were gonna look at it, go through, do some costing, and then come back with either some information and or accounting. So
That I do remember that. Now that we're back in this room, that does sound vaguely familiar. How about we start there with the career ladder, and then we can roll into what that could look like as a package. So we we worked on this really hard, and this turned out to be an interesting one in terms of assumptions. So you all had asked, I believe we captured it correctly, but at the end of last session, you all had asked, what would it look like instead of the proposal that we put on the table for grandfathering all current firefighters at the where they are, and then as they move out of the rank of firefighter, they would move into the new system with the different working out of class and rank and levels, with an opt-in or an opt-out. So we got back into our caucus, started working through it, and we we're like, holy moly, how do we begin to model like how many people would opt in or how many people would opt out? So what would be the working out of class here, working out of class there? So we tried a few things, and ultimately we just did not have faith in how the models were looking or the assumptions. And we were having a hard time even explaining, like, how would we even make an assumption about who would opt in, who would opt out. So we heard you, we gave it a go. The numbers started looking really weird based on just kind of randomly assigning opt-ins, opt-outs based on where they were in the rank. And we're like, this is too complicated. So Romeo, would you mind moving over the career ladder? So we're gonna drop yet another proposal. And this was, I think, as close as we could get to your request in terms of costing. But what we did was assume everybody in at 3% working out of class.
Right.
So it's
Right.
it's a different way to go about it. But we were like, without a good way to predict who would stay, who would go, we just went ahead and put everybody into the new model, but with a 3% working out of class at all ranks. So there are a couple of reasons for doing that. Just even beside the modeling started to look really weird and we were not confident in the numbers. As we played this forward, we were imagining us or some other group of us's 4 years from now sitting at this table. We're like, we would be negotiating 2 different models or 2 different career ladders then. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, what does that look like? So in the proposal we brought last time, grandfathering just the firefighters, like, we would assume after 1 or maybe 2 more contracts, nearly everyone would have moved up and out of that.
Right.
So it gives us kind of this short window of time where we would be operating in like a pay plan 1, pay plan 2. But with the opt-in or opt-out, it's maybe more like 20 years that we might be in a 2 plan, because if early career folks opted out, then we would have to keep that the old way for them, like all the way through their career. And so we wrapped ourselves around the axle pretty good on this, but we were like, whoa, then the complexities of not doing it pay plan A, B for like a short amount of time, but keeping that potentially for someone's, whole career, 20+ years. That I think starts to become administratively burdensome in a way that gets real complicated. So all that to say, what we are bringing back today is not quite what you asked for, and we didn't do that to be devious or not answer your request. It's just as we started working it, we were like, whoa, this might not be what any of us actually wants to do. So in our counter proposal today, what you'll see on career development, like I said, we priced it with everyone at 3% working out of class, all ranks, but everyone in. So like this is the new way we're gonna do it. It came out quite a bit more expensive. We're guessing we modeled it, but the models are never exactly perfect, but it's looking like close to $1 million more than what we had last time. So it's a chunk of change to go from grandfathering for just the firefighters, everyone else at 2%, to move everyone over at the 3% with the new progression was quite a bit more. So, any questions on that or?
Yes, potentially.
Okay.
I'm trying to kind of correlate where we are now back to the original costing. Because the original costing for career development, I think, came in at $400 and something thousand as a cost, 460-ish, if I remember right.
I thought it was 6 something, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I thought it was 600 something, but.
And that costing
I'm
was
sorry, for which one?
for the career development,
your
for our original career development proposal. And
I
ours was wasn't it at 3%?
think it was 4. Your original was at 4.
So in the folder, I must have anticipated this question.
Oh, Romeo.
I don't know why. I threw a proposal so it's the U10 pay change summary document that's out there. So that's Cam's original CLA with the Appendix A proposal. So that's what you guys were proposing. And then on the right is basically it's our proposal. So it does fix a couple little things too with some of the compression issues. It still doesn't fix the firefighter 3 to senior firefighter compression issue. Just it still leaves it at that 2.9 that we have in your proposal. Because that gets dicey, but it does start to fix like senior firefighter to captain. It improves it to 9, and then it improves the captain to BC to 6.
Okay, so that probably explains the question, right, of how we went from costing at, even if it was 600,000, 400,000, $1 million.
It was the 4% was well north of that. Hold on, I'm going to see if Kira can get us the numbers real fast.
I think there is some of it that
So it's yes,
it's very close to. I mean, the kind of cool, interesting thing, maybe cool is the wrong word, is just looking back and forth across. You can look at what you guys were originally proposing and what this current proposal would propose. And you can start to go, oh, that one goes up a little bit, that one goes down a little bit, that one goes up a little bit. There's a lot more that one goes either the same or up a little bit. But it's pertinent to, like when you start to look at like Battalion Chief 2, right? You guys originally had proposed like 5,300. This new one's like 5,400. So,
but it's adjusting for compression. So
has
your proposal
has some compression adjustments.
Okay.
It doesn't fix the compression that we had fixed last time at that firefighter 3 to senior firefighter. That initial step up, 1, 2, 3, 4 firefighter step up is a pretty aggressive step up. It's hard to adjust too much for that. So it does, like I say, it does take some of those components of that previous proposal. It basically takes our proposal from last time and changes the 2% working out of class to 3%. That's probably the simplest way to describe it. But as far as the exact numbers,
that's fine. That answers my question.
And we're comfortable either way. So I think this is when we start to get into do we want to put more investment in career ladder? This is what it might look like. Or would we rather put more investment in special teams? Or would we rather put more investment in base wage? Like, I think we're just trying to, at this point, model things and be like, hey, we could go this way or we could go that way. And here's where this would either give us more wiggle room here or less wiggle room there. So we're comfortable with this. We think it doesn't fix the compression quite as well as we would have liked to in today's model, but I think HR is still comfortable with it, that it's like good enough that we think we'll still see incentive and still see people wanting to move
The way
up the
people
ladder.
move through the areas where there's a little bit more compression than we'd like to see, they're gonna move quickly.
Mhm.
So they won't be there that long.
Right,
Yeah, so I think we're okay with where we landed with that.
perfect.
People generally don't want to stay a firefighter 3 for their whole career.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So there is some other, money is not the only driver there that money's not the driver everywhere, but it is a driver,
Yeah.
right? But when we start to look at like that senior firefighter to captain, that one, or captain to BC, I think those sometimes people need a little extra push to
Yeah.
make that leap.
Yeah.
Other questions or discussion we want to have on that one?
I don't think so, other than just for clarity's sake, the U10 pay change summary that I'm looking at, the right-hand side is the current proposal from the city. And is this a
Oh, right hand side.
kind of package proposal that we are presenting, and this is part of it?
This is part of it. Yeah, we wanted to specifically walk you through that because it felt like that was where we left off next time. So we wanted to start there. But we can now roll into
Perfect.
package time.
Okay.
Are we ready for package time? It's like story time at the library. Now it's package time.
The only other thing I know that we potentially talked about was looking at trying to start to level set the assumptions and sharing that list potentially. Is that something we want to do now or later?
I'm open.
So like we had talked about, all of our assumptions are based
People
upon
list.
people. So we don't need to do that today. It kind of mirrors down or bogs down other discussions, but we definitely need to have a clear
Mhm.
At some point, we need to.
expectation of that. And I know we talked about it way back when, and so I have the original list. It's now 6 months old, right? So I mean, even just the concepts of the number of promotions that we've had in that time, there's errors in it, if you will, that we know. But once again, we kind of made the assumption that it's a good baseline. We'll hold it steady. We'll just run all of our models off the same data. But at some point in time, as we get closer to the conclusion of this, we all need to probably stack hands and go, yep, we agree. All these people are captain ones and all these people are senior firefighter 3s and blah, 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 blah. So, and like I said, there's a number of different movement factors that happen in there, like working out of class in-house only. Well, are they going to keep it? Are they not going to keep it? You know, that kind of stuff, or that will probably still have to play out even after negotiations, right? Where potentially somebody could move up or down based upon now saying, hey, I want to work out of class throughout the whole system, or you know what, I don't want to drop my working out of class completely because I don't want to swing, or right. So there's some personal options that could change after the fact too, for sure. So I'm happy to share that list. I don't know that we need to spend a ton of time on it today, but
I think if you just shared it in the file, maybe that would get us enough. If
You all could look
were,
at it.
Yeah, looking at costing, that would help. But I agree with, I don't think we need to talk about it in depth until we get a little further down the road.
Okay. Okay, so in terms of the package. Romeo, do you wanna?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's so nice to have you back. Me doing file management while talking was not beautiful last time.
Think they all should be there. Still like little futures.
It does help. I have to say, it does help to have these on
Yeah.
paper when it's like so many moving pieces. Okay, so changes from the last time that we talked through, we'll talk through the ones with the asterisks and the new next to them, as has kind of been our pattern. So Union 2 is the special teams, and either, yes, Stacy, do you want to talk through that one? Or I can keep rolling.
Keep on rolling for a second.
I can jump in if you want.
Go ahead, Romeo.
Long story short, again, we certainly support and agree with the increased special teams. This proposal increases the flat rate up to 25% of the existing rates. I think it's the basic concept is, and I think we keep signaling it with our counter proposals, is we really are not comfortable going to a base rate for this. But we do recognize that we need to increase the rates because they haven't increased in a long time. So hopefully we're signaling that clearly that we would prefer not to go to a base rate. But we are open to increases. And so that basically this one increases it up to 25% of the existing rates, or increases the existing rates 125%.
Okay. The second major change in this one is what we talked through on the career ladder.
Mhm.
So that was, we just, I think, drained that one pretty well. Romeo, do you want to talk through the City 14, which is the physical fitness MOU?
Yeah. Again, I apologize, I wasn't here last time. But this MOU that's out there is some modifications to the last MOU that we discussed. My understanding from our last meeting, or from the last meeting, was that you guys are okay with the concept of an MOU to say, hey, let's push it into Geo. There was some language concerns in the MOU with regards to evaluations and or potentially rights. This attempted to soften that, pull back evaluations, change them to column exams. Like I said, it attempted to check the boxes. I don't know if I did a perfect job with it because I wasn't in the meeting and I didn't hear everything that you guys said, but Chief Boland looked at it. The rest of the staff or team looked at it and felt like it was closer to where you guys wanted to be comfort wise. So take a look at it. And
Can you drop anything that shows the changes?
see that one.
All I'm seeing is one word was changed from implementation. Implementation to implementation.
Didn't actually do it as red lines because it's an initial proposal, like it's a replacement proposal. I can
Okay.
probably dig that up if I go back into versioning and get it to you guys later today, if you want to see all the direct red line changes from the last one.
Yes, that'd be helpful.
What file is that?
C14.
C14. Yeah, C14. Like I say, the biggest changes was we changed medical evaluations to exams. Yeah, I should eventually. That's a new change that just got made this morning. That's why there's a change there. Chief Hummel just changed that this
Doing your
morning.
homework
I
and
swear I
the
had
night
this all
before.
set to go. And there was no red lines in this morning. Shared files, get you every time.
Yeah.
There was some changes with regards to like the medical exam program where it basically changed some of the wording to agree to work collaboratively. I think it was stronger last time in that number 3 bullet. And then some of the waiver of rights components we softened a little bit just to make sure that you guys felt comfortable that this MOU wouldn't impact any of your rights. So that's the big stuff. But I can probably go back through versioning and
Yeah, it just helps speed up. I mean, otherwise
Yeah.
we're having to go through both of them.
and like I said, this was a blind man's attempt at trying to fix it, but
Yeah.
I wasn't in the direct discussions to know where the exact concerns.
For me,
were,
it's
so.
credit, Brad and myself and Christine was in the conversation as well. Couldn't exactly remember if we had landed on terminology we were comfortable with, so we were debating back and forth what the changes should be. So we might need a little feedback from you.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We're trying to move with the spirit of intent. The language still might not be quite
Yeah.
where you want
Yeah.
it, but we heard you and we're trying to get the language right. Okay, we're gonna jump down to the last new element, which is actually in withdrawn, not included. And that's Union 7 related to authorized strength. Romeo, do you want to chat through that one?
Yeah, I mean, so in this package, we chose to just remove that authorized strength. It's like I say, from our standpoint, we're okay with looking at both adds and subtracts, but we have challenges with just looking at the adds, right? So right now with the authorized strength, the numbers there wouldn't count those new probationary firefighters. That allows us some additional flexibility when we overhire, when we move somebody into training, all those kind of things. So what we've proposed to do is to leave the authorized strength the way it is written in the existing contract and continue to operate the way we have with calculating that. So it's based upon authorized strength. If we want to go back and look at adds and subtracts, so kind of those long-term sick leaves, all those things that remove things, we're amenable to continuing to discuss. But at this point in time is kind of we're getting towards the end. I think I don't know that the juice is worth the squeeze on this one to continue to battering it back and forth. Because like I said, from our standpoint, we're not comfortable going to not including the subtracts. So we just chose to remove it from the package.
Okay. Would it be helpful to run now from the top all the way through the package? Or
Changes are all,
Are
I think I'm
changes?
I think I'll.
interested in.
Okay. I did want to say one thing about the base rate increase. Because of what we talked about with the career ladder and the extra cost of that, we held base rate steady in this one because the total value of the package over a 4-year contract would be another $1 million. And this is not us trying to be jerks, it's trying to figure out your interests and priorities. So that was the best way we could think about to show this we moved again, this added about another $1 million in value to the contract. We're not confident that it's where you want it in terms of investments.
Mhm.
So the increase in the special teams pay was not huge. The bulk of the value is in that change between the career ladder of grandfathering, the firefighters, everyone else going to a 2% working out of class versus everyone getting 3% working out of class. So that is the intention behind that. We wanted to kind of show you like, hey, this package it costs about $1 million more, about $1 million more in value, but we held the base wage steady to be able to show that difference for you. So that was the intent behind that.
Okay. We'll obviously take this and go and caucus.
Okay.
I'm gonna express again, there is frustration here. My frustration lies in, if I kind of take everything away and look at changes, I see the city came back after 2 weeks with a 25% flat rate increase to specialty team pay. The city came back and adjusted the way the city wanted to adjust for compression, which is a lot of the cost that's in a career development. Difference in cost was the city saw compression, the city wanted to make adjustments in the compression. That wasn't our ask. Our ask was flat and our ask was different. And then you adjusted what you wanted and then put the cost on us. And then you held steady. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of movement at all. And you took away and pulled out any idea of us trying to figure out our 11th, 12th position. I just don't see any movement here. I don't see any movement that warrants.
You don't see $1 million.
That's your.
It's going to your
Is
members.
I
also
understand
into
that, but
members.
It's a
we,
base rate.
I understand that. We have looked at and brought proposals that are what our membership has asked for, which is a base rate increase with what we have asked for in WOC. The WOC and the career development ladder has a lot of parts of that cost the membership or change. So that's kind of a difficult direction for us to go. The compression issue that the city wants to address is the city's concern. So again, what the city comes back with and says, here's what we would like to do. It's going to cost $1 million. Therefore, we're not adjusting base rates. We're not adjusting anything else. It's a little frustrating to us. Again, when we came into this, we said what we would like to do is be able to come in and say, here are our proposals. Here are your proposals, rather than cutting us out at the knees and saying, we're going to
think that's
change
fair.
your proposal.
I don't think that's fair. We have worked with you every time you've brought an idea forward. We've taken it back. We've looked at it. We've tried to work it. Like, I don't know where cutting you off at the knees is coming from, because it's simply not accurate.
This proposal is pretty different than the proposal that we had, that we would like to see changes and how we would like to allocate money from the city. And that shifted quite a bit in your proposal based on compression. Yeah, now I agree that money is going towards people in our membership, firefighters. There is value there, but we came in with a plan of what we would like to see for how money is allocated. And then it was shifted to something else. For us, again, when our goal was, if we could come into this and try to just say, here's the value, let's try to figure it out. That's what we were after.
Is there a different, I mean, if you all can figure out a different way to model what you asked for, we're all ears. We simply could not figure out how to model it. So again, this was not us not doing what you asked. We just were like, we're going to get so buried in assumptions and not even be able to explain how we got there. So if there's a different way you all want to model that, or if Cam thinks he can, in his spreadsheets, figure it out differently, again, like we're all ears, that we're just.
I did think that based on your feedback, the last time with career development, shifting from 2 to 3% was what you asked.
Mhm.
The only difference in what you asked and what we did was
The opt-in.
the opt-in or opt-out because of the long-term impact of managing 2 programs indefinitely. So I did feel like we tried to get to where you wanted to go. And I feel like a lot of that cost is built into that 2 to 3% adjustment. But to Christine's point, if it's not where you want to land, I think what we need help with is then help us figure out what's a better place there. I don't think you can create a program without, to some degree, managing most compression. You create a structure that over time will not work, and it will not work effectively. And so I hear what you're saying. there is cost in that. But I don't think we can do this, at least the way we understand it today, without making those adjustments. So I'm a little, I guess I'm with Christine. I think we need a little help maybe from all three of you. Then, okay, then what should it look like? How do we adjust it even further? Or because the initial, to your point, the initial proposal you made, we have to adjust for repression.
Okay, couple follow-ups. So just be clear that you're not interested in doing the grandfathering anymore, period.
I think we would, what we talked about, and I hope what we talked about was if we, well, I want to be a little bit careful here. It's been a hot minute since we talked about this, so I'd want to talk about that with the group again in terms of if we're open to it or if we're not. I feel like we went round and round and round and round about the grandfathering as if it was more simple in nature, and I think initially our proposals were a little bit, our proposal was a little bit more simple in nature, that grandfathering was a short-term management of firefighter 1, 2, 3, 4. When we started talking about creating that throughout, that's where we got super uncomfortable. So would I say that we're open to that? We're open to that in that context of the fire, to go back to the firefighter 1, 2, 3, 4. I think where it gets very complicated and where we spend a lot of time talking is this idea of creating a.
Oh, for the entirety of the.
For the
career.
entire.
I guess when we first talked about it, I thought it would be something once they promote their on the new.
Yeah,
Right.
so I think the way we attempted to solve that was with the increases. So if you look at that pay change summary.
Yeah.
The firefighter threes in your original proposal didn't have WOC pay anymore. And the wages in our proposal or in this proposal match what you guys presented in your very first proposal with no WOC. So we took out the grandfathering piece because we thought we were solving it how you guys had initially proposed.
No, I see that. That was more just like a blanket question, like.
Yeah, that was why we.
If we're spitballing ideas, is that just totally
Yeah.
off the table?
No, I mean, we're very, like I said,
Okay.
if what we presented last time with grandfathering the firefighter 1, 2, 3, 4 is preferable, and we want to put more money into base wage, like we're completely open to that. We were just trying to show
That's
you,
where I
like,
remember
what-
it landed, yeah.
like what the difference is. Like, that's all we were trying to show you is like what the difference is between what we presented last time and as close as we could get to what we heard from you in terms of working at a class higher. So this was just our attempt to say, like, we can go either way. Honestly, we're sixes, but we're trying to figure out really what your members would prefer, this option, that option. So we're happy to go back to the grandfathering of the firefighters 1, 2, and 3. If that is like, actually, we like that one better, we're happy to go back. We were just trying to honor what does it look like if we go to working out a class at 3%? So we're happy either way.
Last thing is, I didn't just have any time to talk about, I didn't see anything in the counter proposal about the sick leave.
So, oh my gosh, that's probably where we spent the majority of our conversation. So we didn't include it in this package simply because we weren't able to get to a good place of what's the right thing to do or what's feasible. What we're struggling with is 100%, where that lands, whether that feels right given where everybody is, not just general, but police and fire. And then also the complexity of what would that methodology look like when we started really digging into the approach of how do you define success? The thought experiment of then based on that methodology and that criteria, and then of course those outcomes, how do you go back and decide it was successful, therefore this is the percentage we saved? It at this point, I think we're pretty uncomfortable with it. And so we just have not found a path forward that we feel comfortable with sick leave. That isn't to say we can't keep talking about it or working through it. I think we would be much more open at 75% considering the ask. That felt much more comfortable to us. I think what was even further was the complexity from my perspective, and this is me, I'd rather commit to doing 75% without any further, we take the commitment, we do it, whether it works, it works, if it doesn't, it doesn't. The whole idea of trying to say, here's the savings, here's how we're gonna determine it, here's what the membership's gonna get, here's what the city's gonna get, that's the part that becomes very, very complex. So if we were gonna move forward with it, I would prefer just to commit to it and move forward with it and say, we're doing this. Now, whether we do that as part of MOU, I think that makes more sense because then at least we have a period of time to say, all right, we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it. We're going to commit to it. If it pays off and it works, great, then we can roll it into the next CLA. I think we would still be open to that, but I think the complexity around that proposal is really hard for knowing people that we really went through a whiteboarding exercise and really truly did spend time with it. We just weren't able to get there.
Good.
And Romeo, Christine, anything? Yeah.
No, I mean, I guess the question to you guys is, initially when we proposed some increases there was a pretty strong belief that we wouldn't get any behavior change.
I think the big issue was that it was just paying out like swept.
Yeah.
It was just increasing.
The annuals.
We just didn't see that really changing any sort of behavior, just be a cost to the city.
Yeah. So I guess and I know it's a guess, right?
Yeah.
How much value do you need to add? And is it to both? Is it if we went to 100% on the annual sweeps and 50% on the retirement side, and I'm making stuff up because once again, we haven't run any of those numbers directly. Is there some level, I guess, I think what Stacy's saying is we're open to something in the middle there that we add more to the sweeps and or potentially the retirement sell downs, but it gets really hard to build a win-lose package. So I guess that would be something to at least toss around on your end. Like if it's not 100% on both, what would be where would you guys start to think you would see movement from where we are today? Where would you see some behavior change? With likely the city taking on that responsibility or that risk, if you will, that says that. So.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I would be is I'd rather just commit and go and run it as a pilot. And if it works, great. Then we can manage that in the next round of contract. And if it doesn't, we can reevaluate. Say, okay, well, this wasn't what we thought it was going to be. But I think that's where we landed with that. We just weren't able to come to this makes sense. So I think we wanted a bit more feedback. We wanted to see prioritization with you in terms of the importance to your membership, and then we can revisit that absolutely.
So what we don't want to do, what good looks like is we see behavior change, we see potentially savings and constant staffing. We got real nervous that as proposed, we're just going to end up year 4 in massive grievances or the union just being really like, your numbers are wrong. Like we actually feel like there's much more risk in loss of trust or relationship than financial risk. So just to be like super honest, like we're like, ooh, we don't want to get to year 4, start to do this calculation and things fall apart. And what seemed like something good that we were all in on, like quickly then deteriorates. And people are like, how did you get that number? How did that metric's wrong? And I don't want that kind of risk out there.
Mhm.
I would like Stacy said, I'm like, I would rather take the financial risk than I would we get to year 4 and have a blow up because it was so complicated and we couldn't figure out how to calculate it in a way that everyone understood and was transparent enough. So that was, I think, where we got on that one. I was like, ooh, that to me would be like a worst case outcome.
And I would say, Ryan, part of the logic or reasoning with not doing it, the retirement increase is the liability there, right? I think
That's a big liability.
and I think it's going to be a realized liability, right? I think we probably can name off half dozen people that are waiting to see what happens with this contract negotiations in year 1 that are going to cash in their sick bank, right?
And there's no behavior change. There's right.
But
Like,
again,
it's like,
still, I mean, I think that the concept there is if there's not a shift that makes them go, oh, I'll retire. Then they don't retire, they stay, they go get their surgeries and get healthy, and it costs the city more money. So the realized cost, yes, the realized cost is not as simple as just, hey, day one, they retire. Yes, they will do that, but if we don't get here, there will be a cost still that the city has to take on.
I think we get that there's upfront, there's probably going to be a big cost right away.
Yeah.
But we truly see this as like a win-win,
Mhm.
that we think over time that it
Yeah.
would be a benefit to the city, be a benefit to our members.
Yep.
But I get that, yeah, right off the bat, it's not going
Yeah.
to look great.
Yeah, like I said, I think the first couple of years are gonna be rough.
Got a little retirement bubble coming that's gonna be a.
Yeah, but I'm trying to make sure we're on the same page with that.
Mhm.
Because it's not gonna be rough. It's gonna be at worst almost equal to where it is now, because those people that are sitting here waiting, I have had conversations with a lot of those people. If we don't get here, they're not leaving tomorrow. So yes, if they leave tomorrow, then the city pays that sick leave out at 100% if we do this sick leave. If we don't get to the sick leave, a lot of those people have the ability to just go, I was waiting on a surgery. I'm going to now stay employed. I'm going to go get my surgery. We're going to backfill those positions. It's going to cost the city 150%. So this realized, I just want to make sure that everyone understands there's a cost, but there's also a savings that if we get there, it gets paid out at 100% instead of paid out at 150%. And I can't tell you exactly who. And
That's it, yeah, that's
but-
exactly.
But the reality is it's going to, at worst, still level out. If people choose to stay, it's gonna cost the city 150%.
I buy that more in the long term, Jason, than I do in the next. Okay.
Can you help me understand?
Because
Or
of the number of people that are holding on right now,
Uh-huh.
that I mean, I've had conversations with,
Yeah.
probably the same
Yeah.
ones that you have, that I don't know that all of them have surgery
Surgeries.
schedules immediately, right? So let's say 5 people. There's 5 people who don't have surgery schedules. They're gonna wait till October 2nd, contract goes into play, and I'm gonna retire 5 people out, pay them out $1,200 or $1,200 out-ish. I don't know their exact sick leave banks, right? Let's just say worst case scenario, we're gonna pay them out 1,200 hours at 100% versus paying them out 1,200 hours at 27.5%. So year one,
That's assuming that they leave. What I'm trying to say
that's
is
fair.
logically, if we don't get there, those people are not leaving right away.
I would say half of the 5 is probably leaving because they're holding on to see what happens in the negotiations. And once again, this is all subjecture, right? We're spitballing stuff that who knows what really the people, 10 things could change in their life between now and then. They could get divorced, whatever, right? I hope they don't. But that could change everything tomorrow. All I can tell you is what my gut intuition says is that the first few years are going to be upside down. I do believe longer term as we move into it, it starts to balance more. But I think the first couple of years are going to be upside down. That's just I don't have anything other than best guesses because it's super hard to, unless we get into a drop program where we can make these people, commit to a retirement date. That's the only way you can potentially do something, right? We don't run a drop program.
Yeah, so if I am just following your gut intuition with the initial impact,
Mhm.
help me understand the next few years of increased cost.
Yeah, I think because now you're sweeping down every year and then you're balancing out all those people that are not waiting anymore. So now you're just moving back into a normal retirement cycle where I think anecdotally, I think we can all say that there's a number of people who get fixed before they leave, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's a good anecdotal.
Yes.
I can't give you hard and fast numbers that says 60% of the people take 200 hours of sick leave in their last 3 months or anything like that, but I think it's common enough that
Mhm.
we observe it, right? People go off for a month, get their shoulder fixed or whatever, right? Rightfully so, they should. I don't think that's a misuse. It is their earned right for sick leave. They come back for a shift and they retire,
Mhm.
right? I don't think that's uncommon. So I think if you can fix some of that stuff, for sure, you should have some savings, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Like I say, I think that's. I just think the first couple of years are gonna be rough.
And while we're at caucus, can we get a cost of 75% versus 100% without any reopenings, without any of that? I think that's going to be a big part of the question to weigh. If we're looking at a cost of 75%, we're looking at a cost of 100%, and we think that cost is at a point that the 100% is going to create more change than the 75 is going to create, that we can at least weigh those out with.
Do you want both the annual sweep and the retirement, both? And
And
I don't,
the other question I would ask with that is, so your last proposal also adjusts the day crew hours times. Ours generally has not adjusted the day crew hours time, so there's a.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
so there
Yeah,
isn't any
yes,
savings
because
in the day
yeah,
crew,
right,
right?
there's
Like
no-
that's,
yeah, there's no backfill.
there's no
on day
backfill on
Yeah.
day crew.
So we would leave it as just, we would move both to 75%.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I also captured a couple of other follow-up items for us if we're ready to move into that. But if there's anything more we want to say on sick leave, happy to.
No, I think we're
Good.
good. Yeah.
Okay. As we were talking about career ladder, if it's helpful, I know we've got costing for every career ladder proposal that's been on the table. If it's helpful to see that, I think we can pull that together into a slide so we can kind of see like Union's original proposal, like city's counter, then I think we could pull that into a slide if it would help us kind of see like where we've been on that. Okay, we can get that together.
Very first one, we may not have, like, the only thing we may not have would be like the base wage.
Oh, yeah, because we didn't have
flow-throughs.
any base wage flow through.
So let's look and see what we can do.
Okay.
I think we have estimates for all of them, but there may be some.
Yeah, you costed out, the first one you
The
costed
first-
out is a one-off as we are now.
Yeah.
Potentially,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, so with that caveat, okay. We owe you a red line on the physical fitness MOU City 14 so that you can see that. And then it sounds like we do want to share I'm gonna call it the slotting list, but
Good share.
Did share
Snapshot,
that.
okay.
It's there.
got it. All right. That was kind of our snapshot in time that we acknowledge is already outdated, but will give us a sense.
Yeah.
And it is the basis of our models, just to be fair.
Sure.
That's like what we assumed. Anything else?
Think so. I think that I would be pretty comfortable around an hour caucus. What do you gents think?
Yes. 30-ish.
Okay, let's shoot for coming back at 10:30.
Great.
And then we will see where we are at from there. All right, thank you.
Mhm.
I will talk about that anymore.
Okay, let's not talk about that.
That's so sad.
I talked with the participant yesterday that trained and then was just like so bummed.
I mean,
Like a
it sounded
year
like
worth
they
of-
wound up pulling like even 3 of the pros too. So I mean, it was pretty significant, like you're pulling
Yeah.
3 people.
Yeah. Not safe is what we're saying. Be safe out there, people. Make good choices.
Yeah, I didn't condition myself for the smoke because I was gone in California and came back and it was like a brick wall. I mean, it hit me.
Did you
Got
do it?
Played.
No, not.
Oh, I was like,
I was in California, so we
Oh.
were pretty clear of smoke.
Oh.
And then, like I said, I wasn't conditioned for the last week. And when I came back, it just,
Oh,
and I had to drive through
so
Jordan Valley.
bad.
Yeah.
That fire,
Oh, my gosh.
It was
Yeah.
so bad.
which
Yeah.
turned our trip into a very late arrival.
I'm getting real tired of my treadmill. I think it's gonna be a long summer on the treadmill. Real long summer.
All right, well, we had an opportunity to go through, kind of look at proposals, look at counter proposals. So we have prepared a counter proposal that we have put in the union proposal package drive for 7/29. And as for kind of our common standard that we're operating from, we have used our base one sheet and kind of made some of the adjustments to it. On the top, it'll say changes. And so every change that we made to the last proposal has been called out in this. And then the part below that says the same is just status quo as we had.
Okay, I interrupt.
So we did an initial base wage change. And so we adjusted our base wages to a 3.75, 3.5, 3.5, and 3. Trying to make some adjustment for the career development and kind of where we are. We're still really kind of struggling with the costing. We don't understand where an additional $1 million came from. When we're looking at it from the changes that we see, it looked like our WOC was a change from the 2% to the 3%. When we look at it from a perspective of a 1% base for the entire department costs roughly $500,000. How are we getting a 1% base change to just WOC costing twice as much of what a 1% is? That's where we're really struggling. Is I don't understand, other than seeing obviously some compression adjustments, but even with the compression adjustments, we're not seeing how that equates to a $1 million difference from where we were. But that being said, our counter proposal includes the career development as presented by the city. So we would agree, we understand the compression issue. We understand the city's desire to want to make those adjustments. We just don't fully understand or agree potentially with the costing of it. So we're saying, we'll take some of it and going, this is what you're asking for. We agree with it. We also did make, again, adjustments to our base wage increase. So that's all part of the package proposal.
Okay.
And I would just pause there and quickly say, so the $1 million is a 4-year, right? So it's not year one, $1 million. It's over the contract. So that's part of
For
it.
your contract. Do you want me to talk? We do have a costing, if you want to talk through that, of the career ladder.
If you want to keep going, I don't want to.
Let's
Yeah.
finish through this, and then I think, yeah, that would be great to kind of
Okay.
see what that looks like, because I think we were kind of costing it differently initially. Because the $1 million was again a much different number than we thought we were talking about with career development.
Okay.
So specialty team pay. We went back through that a few different times, looking at what it looks like. We understand where the city's perspective is. We hope you understand where our perspective is. We are proposing to do a flat rate increase that drop the percentage, but that increase to be a 50% increase. What that does for us is it makes up some of our past. It doesn't fully make up everything, but it gets us in the right direction, and we make progress, and then we will move forward into the future and, make adjustments.
Yeah, and I think from both sides, I think just that discussion over priorities as we move forward, right? Is that if that's a priority, we should play catch up either every contract or every other contract, or
Right.
we just have to apply some level of priority there when we're, yeah, instead of just applying it all to pick it, right? Whatever, we have to look at those increases, so.
Sick leave. So we didn't adjust the proposal, but we would like to talk through this. So we broke it down into retirement and the sell down sweep annually. We understand, Chief, like for a very specific perspective. I think we're not fully on the same page. I think we understand where each other's coming from. I think we probably have a difference of where we think it's going to go.
Yeah.
But hearing that, we came up with an idea of a proposal that would help to address the initial impact. And that the way to address that was in operations for retirement is we would do a 75% retirement payout for year one, which would address anybody that is kind of in that route. And then we would move to 100% payout for years 2, 3, and 4. And then again, the point of that is we feel that we're doing an MOU. This is a trial pilot run. In order for it to be successful, we think 100% is the way to get us there. Plus, along with that, there's savings that could come with a change in behavior. We want that to play out and be a positive experience for both sides here. And we think that's where it is. But trying to go, sure, there could be some impact. And we think this is a good way to address it. What else we did is we decided to separate operations from day crew, knowing that day crew does not have a backfill obligation to it. So the day crew, similar, is a different rate in year one for retirement. And so that would be a 50% to help, again, reduce the impact of that first year. And then a total of 75% years 2 through 4. So that aligns with PD as well. And again, trying to point out that PD is basically identical to day crew, where PD doesn't have that backfill obligation.
Yep.
And so we're totally equivalent across the board there because there is no potential saving to the city. But where there is savings, we really feel that 100% is where we need to be to get the change in behavior. So hopefully a different concept that helps to address the main issues that we have talked about here and reduce liability, potential liability through for the city.
Clarifying question,
Yeah.
if I may, so that I understand the retirement and appreciate that.
Mhm.
The
Oh,
third
yeah,
bullet,
yeah.
the sell down sweep,
Yeah.
that's the annual
Yes.
sweep?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the annual sweep, again, we set at 100%. That annual automatically has kind of that 1 year built into it,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
so all we would be doing is, again, trying to operate this program the way that we think it's going to be successful, which is at 100% to be able to make that adjustment to see a benefit to the city. However, day crew, again, day crew has no backfill to it. So sell down and sweep for day crew also is at 75%. And again, that just mirrors and helps keep equity with PD and where we are in that contract as well.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And then the last thing that we had here was just bringing back the authorized strength language for us. We had gone through in our GO committee and kind of the union with what this thing looks like, why we need kind of a definitive number. And we had a lot of people from payroll, from the city, from battalion chiefs to the union, everybody kind of involved here. And the last thing we landed on was operations. As soon as somebody is in operations where they have the potential to utilize a position of vacation, that's when we count them as an authorized firefighter. So our proposal goes back to basically our draft language, We did drop in the folder, that specific language. But it's very, very basic, and it just takes the original language from all probationary firefighters to all firefighters assigned to operations.
And I think we agree with what you're saying.
Mhm.
I really do. I think the hard part is what's considered assigned to operations, and how do you address the subtractions and the additions, right? It, with the way this language is written, it only really addresses the additions of the non-count probationary firefighters, if you will. I should say non-count. Non-count's the wrong word,
Right.
but
It's
non-authorized probationary firefighters
They
that
do
are on
count. We love it.
operations. But it doesn't take into account the other components, like when we remove people from that ability. So I think I completely agree with the way you just described it. I just don't know that this deals with the subtractions. When we have somebody on long-term leave or admin leave, or somebody on military leave for 6 months, or would this, the way that you're proposing this, would this remove them from being assigned to operations?
No, I think it keeps the
that-
language
it's
the same. 'Cause the bottom of that paragraph, it still kind of spells out the same thing it has in the past, which is we're essentially doing those counts when we either bring on
Right.
new force, increase strength, or reduce strength.
Yeah. So a reduction, what we're trying to do is we're trying to eliminate we have to make these adjustments, and we're bouncing all over the place in month increments from month to month to month.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's why we set it as a once a year,
Mhm.
right? So that was trying to make that cleaner, so that, hey, on October 1st, we do that calculation and we true up, and there's gonna be times when we
Right.
win and
Yes.
times when we lose.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe that, right?
I think our just intent was just to define what an authorized firefighter was.
Yeah. The reality is, when we get to a position that we should have 12 people off,
Mhm.
and we go, here's our time in the year in October that we're gonna count.
Yep.
And we have 8 people that are off on modified duty.
Yep.
And we go, oh, that's put us under the threshold. We're only allowing 11 people off. Then they come back on the line, and then now they are utilizing spaces
Yep.
for VL, but yet we're not counting them
Mhm.
because for that moment in time,
Yeah.
they were on a temporary status. And I think, I would be open to changing the language to saying, a temporary status versus some form of long-term status. What we don't want to do is this. We don't want to say that
Yeah, I don't
we should be allowing people off,
Mhm.
but because of this specific date and time and whatever fell, that created this now gap of ability for people to utilize their time. If we look at, if there is a leave of absence, something that is long-term, we could potentially look at defining a leave of absence as a removal from operations. And if there's anything else that's in that, fairly long-term position of a long-term disability type situation. I don't know what the actual definition of short-term versus long-term disability.
I mean, maybe, I don't want to overcomplicate it either. The original proposal, I think we said like 60 days or something like that.
Mhm.
What about if we could lengthen that number of days to reduce the number of people potentially, and really then it won't solve it completely,
Mhm.
but if we do once a year with a longer time frame, it will reduce the variability, right? Because at any given time, the chances of somebody being off for 3 months, let's say 90,
Right.
I'm making up a number. I don't know what that number is yet.
but that number of people impacted is smaller. It helps to reduce that. By doing it once a year, it helps to prevent the up and down, but there is still some win-win, if you will. There's wins sometimes for you guys, wins sometimes for the city, and it kind of keeps it. Would that potentially address some of your stuff? Where if we,
I think it gets us closer to the finish line.
I think we'd be open to something like that, Jason, where we look at that date range, and I'll pull up our old proposal and look and.
Modify that
Yeah,
to get
chat.
it clearer.
Yeah, what is what is the resistance? What is the cost, if you will,
Hmm.
to the city
Yeah.
of just saying, hey, 12-person off. It's pretty simple.
Right.
They're in operations. We're talking about very short time frames of windows of somebody is on modified duty for 3 months, and we go, okay, so what's the cost during the 3 months of one person to the city of allowing somebody off
Huh?
as a 12th person? Because yes, if they're off, there's a potential of backfill, but it's not an absolute. But even if there is backfill, you're paying the backfill, but people are also having a reduction in their VL by being able to use it. So it's a reduction over here of 100%. So I'm seeing maybe a 50% cost to the city in very one-off kind of scenarios. So that's where I'm kind of trying to go. Is there a lot of value to the city of really trying to eliminate a position of VL?
I don't think our goal is trying to eliminate a position of VL. I think we're trying to right size the number of VLs, right? So if we have extra probationary firefighters that are non-counters, I don't want to, shouldn't use that, non-authorized, how about that, right? Where we're carrying a few extra
Yeah.
because of the length of the time to train and all that stuff. I know you guys know that, but the concept being, hey, it's better to carry 5 or 6 over, and when we lose 5 or 6, we don't have to wait 24 months or whatever, 12 months to get somebody back into that position. At the same point in time, every time we have 3, 4, 5 people on modified duty or whatever that is, like long-term sick or admin leave or whatever for an extended period of time, they are not able to fill, and we're filling their position.
Right.
So, I mean, isn't this kind of like the sick leave argument? That if they're out and we're backfilling them, it's at 150%? Am I oversimplifying it?
I mean, yes, there's
similar.
but it's a very small, right? So sick leave is a much heavier usage, a much heavier value of potential return to the city. These are very one-off type situations where we're talking how many people are on long-term at a time.
I think when I did the calcs for this, I want to say it was like 8.
They were on long-term?
Either military leave, admin leave, long, all that list of the original stuff. So the numbers in that proposal that I wrote down the bottom were based on, so I think it was 8.
Okay,
I remember correctly.
but what, so in that,
So that would be people
used.
on modified duty or,
Yeah, but we're talking long-term, right? That's what I'm trying to talk is really a long-term versus.
long-term?
What is a lot? Yeah, I think that's
Would be,
what we're,
long-term for me would be like 6 months or longer.
and I think our proposal said 60 days, if I remember correct. So people over 60 days.
Mhm.
I'd have to go back and look at our proposal.
so
but that was-
somewhere between 2 and 6 months. Is that what we're trying
I
to
mean,
get
there's-
to? Is
I
that the
would say-
definition of long-term?
Kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
that's helpful.
Yeah.
But again, we get a definition of what long-term is and say that we say 6 months and beyond is long-term. So if we say,
Long-term disability. That is.
yeah,
that
and that's
kind of-
kind of where my brain is going, okay, that is more significant beyond 6 months. So how many people are in that boat? And to me, I'm looking at a couple is the way my brain is thinking about it.
I think if you extend to 6 months is probably a small, I mean, just anecdotally, just thinking right now, I mean, I'm thinking we probably have 2 or 3 in that role.
Yeah.
Right now, I mean, depending upon if you count like some of our long-term military leave people.
Yeah.
How
many are there?
There's one that's long.
Yeah, but does military leave, would that kind of be in the same boat?
But
because
I think for the purpose of this argument, yes, because they're not buying for vacation.
Right, that was the concept is if they're
Right.
gone on military leave, then they're not only not buying, but we have to fill their spot, right?
Mhm.
So having an extra VL spot available, having an extra person off because they're off.
Right.
Creates 2 openings, right, if you will.
Mhm.
So that was the concept, I think is. That's what it gets back to is we want to add the people if they're on shift and
Mhm.
able to fill spots.
Yeah.
Or able to basically whatever, right?
Yeah.
They should be added.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and my kind of initial concept there was very specifically talking about military deployments and military duty that I kind of feel like that should be removed from the conversation. That's something that the city has kind of decided we're going to support the idea of people being able to go do military deployments.
Sure.
So I'm trying to figure out how that really should be part of this conversation.
If
They're costing the city, but the city's agreed to allow that to happen. And for good reason, right? I mean,
Yeah, but we're changing the calculation procedure, right? So we're
Mhm.
right now what it is authorized firefighters. So if we're going to add in the extra firefighters, what we're saying is we want to try to balance those other ones.
Mhm.
So I think it's pertinent. It's yes, the city has agreed to support military leave, but we also currently haven't agreed to support adding the authorized firefighters. So I think it's fair game, if you will. We can disagree whether it should be included or not. But that's kind of the concept is we're negotiating almost an added benefit calculation method. I don't know, it's not really a benefit, but it's a modified calculation benefit to lean towards an extra person off.
Yeah, however, we're arguing this kind of benefit of the city's position is that it's an authorized person. Our position was an authorized person already means a line operational person. So the language was unclear to begin with, which is why this conversation initially started. So you're coming from a position of, well, no, our language was how we are moving from this, and to here we're going, well, no, our language, our understanding of what it is where we're going from. And we're just asking to kind of,
That's fair.
right, maintain our interpretation of it, but to clarify the language to maintain our interpretation of it.
I think that's probably part of the challenge, right? Is that it sounds like maybe we have a disagreement on the initial intent of the language.
Yeah.
That I think we feel pretty strongly authorized is the number of approved firefighter positions. And when we carry along, when we add extra people that are not part of that a city budget book approved head count, which we do every year, right? The city's been gracious and allows us to carry those extra people. That's the authorized number is what's in the budget book, basically, right? And I think we've started to now produce that quarterly report, which we're sharing with you guys to make sure everybody's at least clear. That report is based on the logic that I'm saying here is it's authorized, it's showing a number of authorized positions, and then it's showing, hey, we're carrying, I think the last quarter we were carrying 6 extra positions that don't have an approved PCN. They're in 10 PCNs, right? So I think, yeah, if we don't agree on the intent of the language, that's certainly, I don't want to say problematic, but it does create this consternation when we're negotiating from a different starting point,
Right.
which makes it challenging.
Right.
So, but with all that said, if we're amenable to extending what or defining what long-term is, like say, we took a swag at 60, and I shouldn't say swag, but we took a 60-day. I think we're amenable to looking at a longer term number, doing the calculation once a year. Yeah, I mean, and maybe military leave is one that we could remove. I don't know. I mean, we could talk about that and look at the other classifications.
Yeah.
I know military leave does have some.
I think we're legally required to do that. I don't think.
I just don't know if there's something more that you've agreed to beyond the legal requirements of military leave. So when you said the city's agreed, I'm like, well, military leave is a legal requirement for every organization. So I just don't know what we've agreed to that.
We have a separate line item in city policy that differentiates fire department military leave, which I believe it's probably in excess of what's federally required.
I think it was.
That would be.
And then I think the feds just upped it, if I remember right, and we may be like right at the threshold.
Okay.
But
Okay.
okay, I we kind of go back and forth with this one a little bit because it's also ironic in the fact that we are at 12 people off. And I don't really foresee us going backwards. So this is, to me, a future problem in 10 years if we don't address the language.
The only problem is, I totally get what you're saying now, based upon the authorized, et cetera, et cetera. If we go to our proposed language, it actually reduces us under the head count.
Mhm.
If you look at that proposal, I did it based upon the 60-day count.
Mhm.
And it's like, now it's like 11.96 or something
Yeah.
like that. So, hence I see your point. I would just say that we just need to be cognizant that your standpoint, we probably want to make sure that don't
Yeah.
go backwards.
It's, yeah, and theoretically, it's still a snapshot in time, right?
Yep.
If we were to do it today, it would probably look different than it did.
Curious on the Kelly days too, with that one being something you have to schedule out in advance.
Uh-huh.
If by requirement of a Kelly day, you schedule it out and you're number 12 on a list. And then you say, hey, we dropped that, even though you had to schedule it now. Does that push anything there where you were involuntarily lost that Kelly day? It's supposed to be scheduled out over.
The same
Over here.
You use your Kelly days if you cancel it for some reason.
Yep.
Like I gotta use my Kelly days, somebody uses them in October or December.
Yep.
And then now we do that count in October and we drop a vacation spot. So those people at the 12 spot now lose their 12 spot.
Oh, I mean, hopefully that wouldn't occur, but I guess it could. I would assume what
Definitely
we
could.
like.
The question is, does it occur?
Well, we don't have the way that we're proposing to do it. We don't calc on that day. We have it kind of established ahead of time, right? The only time we do the recount is when we add a new station or add authorized firefighters. So basically when we have a budget add to add more, or if we canceled the contract with Whitney or NACFR and reduced our required headcount. Those are the primary drivers for that calc right now. Because it wouldn't change, right?
Would it disrupt a year's planning since we pre-schedule?
Yeah, I think the goal is that we would have that. Why we picked October 1st was because it's right before vacation picks.
Mhm.
So really, we're probably only talking a month or two of potential for that. And my assumption would be is if we really got to that point and we had like a Kelly Day kind of thing, or we probably just maintain the number off because we have that ability. The chief can approve over that number off. So I would assume what we would probably do is if we had people who were already scheduled and picked for that day, we would probably let them keep it. Once again, spitballing stuff in response to your question,
Yeah.
because that seems like that's what would be fair. However, if we had somebody cancel a vacation now and now we're back to the right number, we probably wouldn't let somebody add, right? That would be my gut reaction to how we would address it.
Tricky management. More on our. More on our.
Well, I mean, I do think it kind of gets back to what Jason's saying, though, is the reality is we've been at the same number for 15 years. So
The norm.
we're at a point in time right now where it is, I don't want to say it's not a problem. It's just an evolution of the department, right? So until we add another station or until we add probably 2 more stations, we're probably not going to have to address it again.
Right.
So I think that's.
Even more than that.
Yep.
Yeah, we would say it would have been like an additional 23
Yep.
new positions.
Yep.
Or something before we'd even have to look at bumping up to an extra day.
Yeah, I mean, the hard part would be is, where it could get sticky wicket would be is if we brought on a really big class and we didn't have those authorized positions, that could be 6 or probably 6. We don't generally go much above that, but 6 to 10, let's say, would probably be our cap side. That's half of that 23 that potentially we could run into, right? So, but I'm totally down with looking at what long-term looks like. Like I said, we're not opposed to the conceptual of your proposal. Like how you described it is, I think, 100% where myself and Chief want to be, right? We want to account for the real authorized or the real number of people that are able to take vacation and able to fill for vacation.
Mhm.
The real question comes into play is it's the temporaries both way, right? How do you account for the temporary people until they come into a full-time PCN? And how do you account for the people that are gone for an extended period of time? So long-term, temporary, whatever you want to call it, is really what we're trying to address. So let me go back. I'll look at our original proposal with numbers and see if we can change the length of time, which may lessen the impact.
Mhm.
I don't know if it'll solve it because I don't think we're completely negotiating from the same starting point. So that's part of the challenge that I understand now. But I would say the proposal that I put out there, I did run by Jen and I ran by Kelsey and I ran by all those finance and payroll people that you guys worked with.
Mhm.
And they were like, oh yeah, this 100% makes it crystal clear and we really like this.
And it does make it crystal clear. The problem is what it does on the other side to our membership, which is now they're going back and forth on,
But
oh, do I have 11? Do we not have
Yeah.
11? Are we at 12 people out?
Yeah.
Because they're trying to make picks, they're trying to figure this stuff out. And then if it changes, the Cam's point,
Yeah.
at some point, the changes are what we're trying to eliminate.
Yeah.
Right. And trying to just have a consistent, we're at 12 people off, we just stay at 12 people off. It's going to continue to slowly ramp up until 15 years from now that it has some form of monetary effect again. But that was kind of my question is what truly is that monetary effect? Is it significant? Is it minimal? And so trying to balance some of that was where my brain was.
yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends, right? It depends.
Yeah.
If we had 8 people on, I'll call it long-term off, right? And we were counting all of the 6 people, that's a 15-person swing,
Mhm.
right? Across 3 shifts, 5 people a shift that potentially we're having to cover, right? Something like that.
Sure.
Worst case, right? I'm just
Yeah.
spitballing
Yeah,
stuff.
but people are also using their VL. So there is a reduction also. So it's not really 2 full people because there's a reduction in liability of the full value of their VL when they use their VL. So yes, there is somebody that is there, but to backfill, but also that VL,
We're reducing the costs.
yes, the reduction is coming off. Okay, the last thing I wanted to point out is under the same category, the very top line, which is the physical fitness, we just put in some language that says we are theoretically agreeing to your proposal once we see the red line.
So you're saying we're close.
Red line is out there.
Okay.
Red line is out there. The only thing that I couldn't get back from versioning is we changed everywhere we had medical evaluation.
Mhm.
I changed it to medical exam. So
Okay,
that's, everything else is redlined in there,
Okay.
but when I went back in my versioning, that was the only one I couldn't.
real quick, can you help me understand the difference between those two?
I don't know. My understanding is that you guys want.
I thought
I
that
got-
was part of our
Yeah, yeah.
discussion
I-
was.
The medical part was a part of doing away with, because the program doesn't function with a medical evaluation. The program most likely functions with an internal evaluation of fitness. That's
So
the,
a fitness
goal.
evaluation or a physical, well, not physical.
just
fitness.
not medical, right? Because the idea is you would be able to redo if somebody was not able to perform, they'd be able to stay online, work on their fitness, then be able to re-perform a fitness assessment that we put on, not a medical evaluation. The cost to the city of having somebody go back for medical evaluations every 6 months would
What's the difference in your mind between physical assessment and medical assessment?
what we do versus what a doctor does. Medical would be like Hilvers, they would have to go to Hilvers, they'd have to go.
So
through
what,
huge-
okay, so now this is helpful because I think we missed this before. So you want to entirely remove the medical piece?
Yeah, because again, we don't even have a plan on how do we get these people through that many medical evaluations when Hilvers can't even manage
I think the goal would,
currently.
I mean,
My preference would be then we leave the medical in there. And the reason why I say that is because it's still just collaborative discussions at this point in time. If we can get there, but that's I don't disagree with you. I think we need to solve a bunch of those problems.
Mhm.
And the hope would be that we could do this through the GEO process and maybe just implement it through like through our, WFI kind of
Yep.
GEO.
Yep.
Where maybe we do get to the point where we do actually have some level of medical exams. I don't know if we'll get there. It may be to the point where we do get to just hey, it's a physical assessment every year. You check the box, it's done. Jesse Clark comes and runs you through the new hire incumbent, we call it an incumbent, and that's all we get to. But I do think that I think the goal of the city would be closer to some sort of medical exam. Is that annual? I don't know. Is
Yeah.
that every 5 years? I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what the ramifications are if you go fail a Doc Hilber's physical, and how do we then work you back in? Is it just you take blood pressure? It's all those kind of components that I can sit here with confidence and say, I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But the hope would be is that if we can come through the GEO committee agreement on that stuff, it may well include a physical or a medical exam in addition to a physical fitness assessment.
Mhm.
We may not get there.
Yeah, and that's where I was when I draft something that says we're going to come to the table and this is what's going to come out of it.
Yep.
Even though it's in an MOU, I look at that as that is what we have to do,
Mhm.
is come to an agreement on some form of medical evaluation.
Yep.
Now, what you were saying, or what I thought I heard you say is, well, we'd like to get there. And if that's where we're at, is we'd like to get there, I don't care what it says.
Yep.
Because
So-
we'll talk about it in GO and.
Yeah,
work
the
it out.
goal is, so what it said was medical exam program, the parties agree to work collaboratively, to develop a framework for regularly scheduled medical exams. The framework may address, among other subjects, medical exam requirements and frequency. If we can't address it, then we got two options. Either it doesn't get addressed, right? Or we bring it back to the next negotiations with a framework, kind of like we're doing with career development, right?
Where would such a framework exist? Where does it live?
It probably would live in our general orders, which already exists for many things like return to duty exams, for, all those kind of things.
Okay.
So
It's, yeah, our general orders are really kind of the details that are behind some of what's in the contract. And it gives us the ability to go through, we still have to agree to changes in those between management and the union. But we're able to do that in kind of not a negotiation process, because we're not talking about budgetary items. We're just talking about a program and how we want to either develop a program or make changes to a current program.
Thank you.
Welcome.
yeah, I mean, take a look at the language and see if it's been loosened up enough to
Sure.
allow for all that. But that, I believe that would be our intent, is that I would love to get to annual medical exams with everything under the sun, because I think it's the right thing for our members. Now, with all that said, there's challenges with it. There's challenges in the implementation of it. There's challenges with the, what's the downstream effect of it? How do we deal with all of those, retesting components, physical components, all those kind of things?
Yeah.
I think Chief Hummels' initial kind of proposal kind of stair-stepped a little bit, where it wasn't medical exams every year, and that wasn't the only component. I do think there's value in that though, right? Getting even just a simple blood test, right? Where a member may be able to find, hey, I've got low whatever thyroid, and you can remedy that quick before it becomes a long-term issue, or I've got high blood pressure, or whatever the item is. There's mechanisms to catch things early and correct them before they become a major problem. Never mind cancer and everything else, right? If we can introduce some of that stuff working with the trust collaboratively, that would be fabulous, right? I mean, it's so lots of components, but I think that's the concept. But if we want to tweak the language and not say some medical exam or whatever, as long as we leave kind of the framework
The
items.
medical piece you want out of there.
And again, it's because we have no idea what that looks like. It's not just for us to decide. We have to figure out where do we go? How do we do it?
Yeah.
What's the return to work? How often do we do it? What's the cost to it?
Yep.
There's a lot of those things that we have no idea what that looks like yet.
Might be better just to use the word evaluation or assessment and not assign a adjective to it. So you don't say medical, physical, whatever, you just say evaluation or assessment, and then you work it out what that means.
I don't care. I think,
100% of
Yeah.
our kind of
Yeah.
I'm picking that up now.
yeah,
I like not have before.
you don't want to hear but I'm like, they want me to change evaluation to exam.
Well, I know.
I'm like, what does that mean? Why
I
did you?
couldn't recall.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, totally fine.
Yeah.
I blame Chief Bolin.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
not
I know
here.
that.
It is his fault.
Just kidding.
So with that one, do you guys have the red line now,
Mhm.
but you can see the other changes that were made. Do you want to work on
We'll-
that a little bit and then
We'll
just?
we'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, conceptually, I think we're agreeing on the concepts. Now it's just.
Yep.
Words.
Yep.
And I think we're open to, I don't want to say whatever words you want, but
Yeah.
predominantly.
Yeah, so with that, those were all the changes to complete a counter proposal. So we probably have 15 minutes
Do you-
before lunchtime for.
Do you want to talk through the
Sure,
costing?
I would
I
love
think
to
that
just-
would help because
Yeah.
I was like, oh, 4 year versus 1 year versus, so I think that might help. Okay, so we had 2 takeaway items over the break that we came back with. Let's start with career ladder. So all of these are 4-year estimates. We're arbitrarily picking that because that's what we currently have been putting packages into is 4-year increments.
Okay.
So starting with the union's original career ladder proposal, on June 1st, we costed that out again at a 4-year cost, at 5.7 million. And the key kind of components or assumptions, it's kind of a mix of words in here. That had the 4% working out of class. And then the city's assumption when we costed it was a 1-year progression. So that was kind of where we started. On 7/2, the city brought back a counter. We costed that at 3.4 million. That had no working out of class. It did address the compression, and it still assumed a 1-year progression. We then had a really good working session and came to the agreement that a 1-year progression wasn't actually probable. It was, in fact, a worst case scenario,
Yeah.
but not very probable. So the city went back, we refined the costing on that, and the key assumption was we moved from a 1-year progression to a 2-year progression. So that was after Cam did the big whiteboard session. That reduced the cost, that just changing the 1-year to 2-year progression reduced it from 3.4 million to 2.6 million. We still weren't totally loving that after more discussion. And that was where then we brought back the 715 proposal that had it kept working out of class at 2%, but that was where we introduced the grandfathering of firefighters 1 through 4. So that raised the cost from 2.6 million to 3.3. So that grandfathering, it still assumed the 2-year progression, but that grandfathering had a cost of give or take. It's been about 700,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say 630 or
Six
something like
something.
that, 650.
So then what we brought back today, so the city's 729, again, at the union's request, was what would it look like forget about the grandfathering. Let's just keep everyone at a 3% working out of class. And the price differential there, as I said this morning, was about $900,000. So it went from 3.3 million from our 715 to 4.2 million. And again, I think where we're off was this, we're looking at a 4-year cost. So I think that's probably where the math is different. If you were looking at a 1% being 500,000 in 1 year,
Mhm.
we're looking at this being the cost over 4 years would be 900,000. If that, I think that's a
Yes.
key assumption we
Yes.
were off on. So we've been anywhere between a 4% working out of class, again, a 1-year progression, which we now agree is not the right, but we've been anywhere from a $5.6 million value down to a low with the city's no working out of class at 2.6 million. So that's kind of the range of things we've been, as we've been kind of toying with it. Do we grandfather? Do we not grandfather? What percent of working out of class? Like that's kind of the range we've been moving up and down through, if that helps.
Yeah, so a couple questions I have is if we're talking about the low end and a 2-year progression being at $2.6 million, and that was done without WOC.
Correct.
So it's just incorporating basically step raises, or was it incorporating step raises plus that was your proposal? So it probably had the
It had the
compression built
compression in it.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah,
It did.
that one still had the compression.
No
Yeah.
WSC with compression changes. Okay. And then the third part of costing that we wanted to discuss was at one point, and I don't remember what day, we can go back and look. We talked about the WC value being brought in because when we go to a flat rate WOC pay, the per occurrence WOC budget that's out there gets pulled in as a positive into the system.
Yeah.
When we were discussing that, it was clarified that you were using a budgeted WOC and not actual cost for WOC.
Correct.
Are you currently now using the actual cost for WOC in the equation or budgeted cost?
I think everything's budgeted.
Everything budgeted, because I think that also might have been the day you were out, Jason. We looked back at how the budget versus actuals had shifted,
Mhm.
and some years were below budget, some years were over budget. So we just agreed to stick with the budgeted because of the pretty dramatic. Remember, I think we did like a 4-year average.
Yeah.
And we
Justin
were
had
like
gone through all that.
below, by like 70,000. We were below budget, like 70,000 1 year. And then another year we were over by 100. So I think as a team kind of were like, we should probably just use the budget because of the overages and underages.
I would say the last 3 years have trended
Yeah. High.
over or.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, 4 years ago, I think we were slightly under. I don't know, remember the exact numbers, but the last couple of years we've been
Fine.
over budget. But yeah, I think Justin kind of presented that. But I think to answer your question is my understanding of the way they're doing it is budget. So the credit you're getting is the budget amount.
Okay.
Mhm.
So over the last contract, on those numbers, actuals are over budget each year. Cumulative of 314,000 over the 4 years from 22 to 25.
Oh, you
20
found it.
Yeah, with 25 being over by 160,000. So 2025's budget of 200,000 was budget and actuals being 360 and change.
So I think we had adjusted in the budgeted, it appeared that we realized the budget amount was wrong. So we had adjusted the budgeted amount up. Like it had been on a trend of just like a 3% inflation year
Right.
over year. And then we
Yeah.
made a pretty significant correction to it.
And it still had the highest overage after the significant correction.
Yeah.
So adjusted from like 2022 started at 149 and change. 2024 is 157 change. 2025 is like, oh, these are off.
These
Let's
are off.
go to 200,000, but the overage was more than the cumulative of the prior 3 years overage still. So the 160,000 in overage on the actual. So when we look at the costing too, we see the actuals being a little bit more pertinent to costing too, because the budgets have historically been underperforming the actuals on costing. It does.
But you have to offset though, right? Is that, and this is where we talked about is looking at the total packages. And now we should have seen savings in salary lines, right? Because we had less captains and less senior firefighters and more firefighters. So we should have an offset
Offset.
because we're doing more WOC because we have left the higher paying ranks. So there should be some level of offset. I can't tell you exactly what that is. But that's kind of what Justin was trying to go through.
If we look at any line in
We
isolation.
move this one, we get a bump out over here, we get an increase over here, and we get. So there is some offset like that. It's kind of, it's the discussions we've had with sick leave, right? If you increase sick leave payouts, you should reduce X over here, right? But
Cause and that's, remember, we talked pretty extensively about like, if we take any line item in isolation, it doesn't tell the whole story because in the system somewhere, something else is moving in the system to offset it because fire isn't going over budget or going under, right? Like
Right.
fire is somehow
Yeah.
managing to the
Yes.
budget.
Yeah.
So if we take this one thing in isolation and credit it, we're in trouble somewhere else. So that's,
I do,
that was why we just stuck with the budget amount. Cause I was like, I don't know.
Do we have those actuals for the salary lines? I mean, it probably would, like you said, since budget's equal now, we probably would see where the equivalents. But if, just because budget and actuals are different here, that might tell a story, like you said, of a gap of, say, vacancies and other positions that need to be filled. Or it's just that a staffing run behind it altogether, which is causing it. Because I know in terms of hiring, we've changed that coefficient that's been that 1.2. Sometimes it's, we don't need that 1.2. Has that caused carryover moving forward that we're seeing where there's a decrease in, or there's a difference of budget versus actual in terms of salaries? I don't know.
Well, and this is also the play in the system is what allows us to overhire. So back to our authorized strength, right? The 6 probational, like we're actually overhired, right? And it's that play in the system that allows us to hedge our bets like that and say, yeah, we're going to bring on a bigger class. We're pretty sure some people are going to retire. So we're going to overhire above our authorized strength. So like I think this is where we're struggling. I see where you're headed and I understand why you're making the argument for the actuals. But if we start taking those out of the system, we lose the flexibility to do some of the stuff that I think really is necessary and good, right? Like if we take all of that play out of the system, then we can't hire above our authorized strength because we've cut it back to.
it's the training captain temp positions, it's all those things.
Right.
We don't have a budget for that per se.
Right.
We're just able to do it with savings or.
Right. And some
Extra.
from not filling a chief position.
Sure, I mean, that's
I
a,
mean,
right,
Uh-huh.
100%.
Okay. Jets, you have any other questions on the budgeting?
career ladder.
I don't think I do.
We also did some sick leave estimates.
Yeah.
So, starting out, we'll look at current state. So current state for the contract we're in now, annual sweeps are at 35%, retirement sell down at 27.5%. So we looked back at a 3-year average, with that being our current state. The 3-year average over the past 3 years for annual sweeps was 67,000. and the 3-year average for retirement cell was just under 95,000. You had asked about what would that look like at 75%. So 75% at an annual sweep would go up to 143,000. And the big ticket item, 75%, if we applied that to retirement sell down, would be just about $500,000. And the assumption that we used there, this was a year one, and we just looked at anybody who was going to be at or above rule of 80 and actually pulled their current accruals. So whether or not those folks would actually retire, whether or not those folks would have surgeries, whether or not, like, we don't know how to predict that. So we just looked and said, anybody in year one that would be at or over rule of 80 and what they currently have accrued, we're going to say that goes out the door at 75%.
Mhm.
So that's where I think when we're like, "Ooh," I appreciate your revised proposal that acknowledged like that first year is like, we may or may not see behavior change. We might just see people cash in and go. Like that's what we were looking at as a liability.
Mhm.
Beyond that, we don't know how to model it because then we start to get into the behavior change, or what if some people don't retire in year one, they retire in year two. So we don't really have projections very well past that. But that year one number is the one that we,
That was at 75%.
correct. Yep.
What was the sweep, did you say?
The sweep at 75% was 143. So it roughly doubles on the annual sweep line, but on the retirement sell down, it goes from about 100,000 to almost 500,000. So that's kind of the big like, ooh,
How did you get that? I was trying to write everything down, sorry.
oh, sure. For the retirement sell.
Yeah,
So-
that 75% you took.
So we took anybody that was at or above their rule of 80, and we looked at that group of people's actual sick accrual. So we just assumed like,
Eligible, yeah.
yeah, if they're eligible to retire, what's in their sick bank, cash it out at 75%. So fully acknowledging that does not take into account, I hear you loud and clear, that does not take into account the,
It's like
the
not
offset.
worst case scenario, but the
It's the liability.
liability case
Yes.
scenario,
Yeah.
worst case,
Yeah.
you know, fullest
The
liability.
potential.
The potential,
Liability.
the potential liability, because we don't know how to say out of that group of people who would or wouldn't have a surgery, right? Like that gets into hard to model.
And it doesn't account any behavior change, right?
Right, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it
Yeah.
counts for zero,
Right?
which is the ultimate risk of liability.
Yes. Yeah. So not a yes, I think we got that.
Right. Well, I've got no further questions on sick leave or the budgeting for the career development and the WSC portion of it. So I guess we're kind of at a potential lunch break, and then balls in your court for looking at what we presented and then coming back to the table. What does that look like for you?
30, I think we could be.
Okay.
Have some lunch and do a little walk caucusing and working.
Perfect.
Fun to be back at 1:30.
All right, sounds great.
Okay,
Thank you.
have a good lunch. I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I'm ready for lunch.
Everything's gonna be smoked.
I know.
End of the day.
So, so
I
So-
said to my wife this morning, I'm like, I feel like we.
all right. Hope everybody did have a nice lunch.
Sure did.
Okay, so we are back with another package. Feels like we're starting to go fast here,
Yeah,
which must mean we're getting close to the end. So wanted to acknowledge, I think we made some good progress and you'll see that reflected, I hope in our package. And also just returning to time. So we said in our ground rules, we wanted to wrap this baby up in 45. We had some scheduling challenges. We're at 60 days, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
Also want to acknowledge that there is still process that needs to happen, and we're very cognizant of that in terms of what it looks like for you all to present something, city council to be able to approve. And it is now the end of July, which means October 1 or September 30th, whichever is the more important date to you, is quickly approaching. So all of that to say, we are wanting to keep making progress, but also acknowledging like we're starting to bump up against some time constraints. We are also starting just very candidly to bump up against dollar constraints on our end. So we are getting close to the top of what we've got available. And I think in the last package and the conversation that we had, we are again making our best attempts to allocate value to the union's most high priority issues or interests. And so just want to make sure that as we present this, again, the intent is there, that we're hearing you, we're trying to move on the things that we think you have signaled are the most important to you, and really hope that if we are still off the mark on that you'll provide us feedback on that. We're gonna roll through real quickly, same way that we went through your last one. Romeo,
Done.
it is in there.
It's just city package 729_2.
The folks popped in.
See Ryan.
I just got booted from the
Oh,
internet.
no. I'll share my screen.
Talk about time constraints here.
How about that?
Perfect.
We can literally be on the same page. So we highlighted,
He's messing with them over there.
I know it
Every
is like someone's
Every time I
messing
come
with
in
me.
this room, yeah.
It's not me, I promise. So we highlighted the changes in yellow. We are happy to accept on Union 2, the city's counter, which is the specialty team pay. We're happy to accept your union proposal of a 50% increase on that rate. Union 7, which is the authorized strength. We hear you on long-term. We started at 60 days. We talked about long-term being 180, so we want to throw out 120 as a potential compromise number. All right, I might need help from Romeo. Why do we have highlighted Union 10, Union accepted? Help me, please.
Because that was a new proposal today, but the union, that's career development.
Ah,
So it was just,
there we go.
I was
Sorry.
just recognizing
I was
that
like, wait.
it's the same, we didn't change career development.
We
It's the
didn't.
Same career development that we introduced this morning, but you guys accepted it as part of your package. So
So that's.
union accept is probably a little wrong because it's part of a package. It's not technically accepted by itself, but
So that's the 3% working out class. Sorry. In my head, that's C15. The Union 10 tripped me up. Okay. And then on the sick leave, which is Union 11, we are simplifying even further, but taking for all members, so both operations and day crew, taking the sweep to 75%. And then the sell down to 55%. And that 55% is acknowledging that that's already where day crew is. So we didn't want to step them back from where they already are. So it would be bringing everyone up to that. And then in base wages, 2, 2, 1, 5, and 1. Oh, you got it there.
It's not spotted.
Okay. Bring UIOT, bring your own
Yeah.
tech.
To clarify real quick, in the sick leave, the 75% sweep, you're saying is it retirement?
Oh, I'm sorry. 75% is the annual sweep. Let me, annual sweep. And then the 55% is the retirement.
Okay.
So I know that terminology's been tripping us up.
And what the concept would be aligned to day crew and shift members, right? So everybody's 75 and 55. So that's what this is saying. So it would increase the annual sweep for both. It would increase the sell down just for shift duty members, the sell down to retirement. But we didn't want to go to 50 because day crew's already at 55.
Yeah.
So we just said we need to at least keep it at 55 just to keep it consistent for both parties.
Okay.
It was really trying to just keep it simple.
Okay. Right, do you gents have any questions? Okay, I would then propose a 30-minute caucus for us to digest and run a few numbers and come back.
We'll see you back at 2:30.
You need anything else from us? We giving you everything that we were supposed to give you guys? I guess I think we have, but I was just checking in that we could take this next 30 minutes to run anything down. And it's okay to wait till the 30 minutes is up too.
Yeah, I don't think there is anything there.
The authorized strengths is essentially going to your proposal and just increasing it to 120.
That would, yeah, okay. I mean, we could tweak the words a little bit if you guys go, yeah, the 120 makes sense and we're okay with continuing to have some dialogue on it. But yeah, that seemed like the simplest. In talking with Chief Helmo, we were kind of looking at like even like that window for training, right? It kind of aligns, the 120 days aligns with that. It'll certainly take that number down where we don't have as many people. We felt a little uncomfortable going to like a full 6 months, but 120 seemed more reasonable than 60 and
Okay. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
You are very welcome.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. We get to this point and sometimes it starts going really fast. We've had, multiple times where we have two separate rooms and one person running back and forth as we get there. Okay, so we dropped a counter proposal into form in the shared folder. It'll be the most current time frame. And then it says 2 in parentheses at the end.
Okay.
Really what we're looking at this point is when we got the numbers kind of from the rough calculations that you gave us on sick leave, we looked at that and went, okay, we don't find the value to us at kind of those numbers. We just don't think it's there. So what we want to do, and our proposal is to completely drop discussion of sick leave, roll those savings into a proposal, hopefully from the city, to see if we drop this and just move it into wages. Move that dollar amount into wages. And then the authorized strength language, we're still talking about the 120 days, but that's the thought process here with this. We just wanted to come back so that we could kind of get that across the table, trying to get a costing and a counter back on base wages. So that's where we are. And just so you kind of have an idea of where our calculations were, we looked at the sweep at 75%, which we had heard from you, costing $143,000 per year. The retirement with the rule of 80 assumption at 75% was $500,000. And so what we did is just quick back of the napkin math is when, okay, it's at 35%. If we move to 75%, this was the $500,000. We went right in the middle and said, okay, the costing we think is roughly half that, which would be $250,000 per year for that costing. So, yeah, that's where we were. We looked at it and saw a potential savings of the city of $1.5 million if we opted out of pursuing the sick leave proposal. So that is it.
All right. It is 2:30. And I think we want to give very careful thought to where, as we are nearing the end, I would propose we start back up tomorrow morning and give us some time to really work this and make sure that we're coming back with as strong a counter as we can tomorrow. So what time would we like to pick back up?
I would be happy with the same 8:30.
8:30?
Works for me.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds
Probably got a
good.
boogie out by about noon, but that doesn't mean you guys can't continue
Can't
without me.
keep going.
Maybe a
Summer
little later.
Romeo.
Afternoon, if I was gonna say it, but
See, I booked my flight
I don't
tomorrow
know. I have
for
my days
6:15, so I could in fact go
Yeah.
until 5, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Summer Romeo.
I
He
think
was
the Summer Romeo, it provides a lot of flexibility for my day.
You were just very optimistic that we are done by noon, right?
this is.
He believes in us. He believes in us.
All right,
No comment.
no comment.
It's just smile.
Yeah, yeah. Took me a long time to learn that.
All right, we will see you back at 8:30.